Well, it's Mutants and Masterminds Monday. Hey, friends. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Alex, you can hear me.
I can.
Apple, you can hear me. It's working already. That's how you know it's working. Good. Look at this. Alex is just saying that to add to the delay. Excellent. Well, listen, friends. I had a little audio snafu. Gets ready to blast an air horn in Troy's ear.
Troy doesn't have ears. That's the hard part.
I don't. I'm a particulate. I'm a cloud.
Yeah.
And
you can hit him with a foghorn, but not the kind you're thinking of.
But today's a pretty special day. We've got a guest joining us.
We do.
And it's our friend Aepelgeuse. Now, hang on real quick. Let me see if I can do this right. Let's see. Are we ready? Hold on. Almost there. Aepelgeuse. Hey,
hello.
Hey. It worked.
You said his name 3 times. Now he's here.
That's right.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
right. All right. So listen.
Now that you're here, you're going to try to marry one of us to escape and become a real life person again? Is that what happened in
Absolutely. I've chosen you, and you're wonderful.
Congratulations.
Perfect.
Yep. You play Mutants and Masterminds to the end of your, forever days, whenever those end. But listen, Apple is is the GM of a serial actual play live stream called Confirmed Chaos. Awesome name, by the way. And so you've got. Tell me a little bit about what you do, and the group that you're working with, and how it came to be, and let's get into it.
Yeah. So I guess what I do is I facilitate the chaos of my 4 wonderful, I guess, chaos just harbingers that I call players. I'm sure a lot of DMs can relate. In terms of how we came to be. We got together playing D&D. We did a couple of streams over there, and then we transitioned from D&D over towards Mutants and Masterminds because I forced them. And by forced them, I mean I found the system, had loved superheroes, and fell in love with Mutants and Masterminds, and they were kind enough to oblige my curiosity, and we just kind of have been going off since.
That whole crew is, first of all, I love getting into a stream where there's a lot of laughs and a lot of like connection. Because I think that especially with TTRPGs, it is for me, like that's the thing I love the most about getting together around the table. And today what I thought we could do is just sort of basically talk about what it's like to start a stream. What are some of the things you bumped into? And then, of course, we will bring the priest in to get you 2 married.
Wonderful.
I also want to talk, Aepelgeuse, a little bit about what it's like becoming an M&M GM from other games and how you've been finding that.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, going into streaming, pretty daunting. I'm sure you guys can relate since there's a big difference between like gaming at home versus gaming in front of a camera or gaming, I guess, with an audience in mind. So even without all of the technical difficulties, which I am fully aware that you guys can relate to, having started this stream, but yeah, it's a bit of a different vibe, not necessarily, bad or I guess more positive, but just different. And so adjusting to that is, I guess, being a bit more, I guess, streamlined with like cutting off like sidetracking like table talk, because that's a big part of like home games of just like going off on like random stuff that you've gone through the day. But when you're kind of on camera and just sort of trying to get through a story, it's a little bit less time to, I guess, F around, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, there is a component of this too that is very it layers on a performative part of like a theatrical piece that is not necessarily there, when you're, I mean, people can kind of ham it up around the table, but when you've got anywhere from, 1 to 1 million people watching you, it changes the dynamic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. How have you been finding keeping your players on task, or have you been just indulging that and letting them sort of make magic spontaneously, unrelated to the game?
It has been a delicate balance of, one, keeping them on task, but then two, just kind of letting them give confirmed chaos its name, essentially.
Right.
Players are going to player, and it has been very entertaining kind of trying to, I guess, not predict, but also, I guess, be properly prepared for all of the random things that they can do and just the wide range of stuff that Mutants Masterminds allows for players to do inside the system itself. So it's been really fun, honestly. Yeah.
Apple, it is. I in listening to the episode, the last episode I watched was the goose episode.
The goose. Yep. Okay. Cool.
Oh
Cool.
dear, what is
Yeah,
that?
yeah. There was a goosening, but it's super funny. But when the dice rolls started happening, I want to take that quote. You're just like, I just really want you to know, all of you, to know how much I hate you. Because they're rolling, they're just decimating your plans as
20 after 20 after 20 after 20. It's just like, oh,
right.
this is what it's like.
It's so good, and it just a testament to sort of the camaraderie as well. But so talk to me. I'm also curious. Alex, you're fresh off of your stint with our friends. Were you in Philadelphia?
I was in Pittsburgh. I just
Pittsburgh,
got back
sorry.
from I was a special guest at the Pittsburgh Game Expo.
Yeah.
And shout out to the folks who run that. They do a great job with their convention, and it was twice as big as it was last year. So there were about 1,000 people there, and I ran 3 games of Mutants and Masterminds, and I had 2 panels, and I had a booth I sat in for a little bit where I signed autographs, and I got to introduce some new people to our game, which was great. A couple of folks who played back-to-back games with me, so I appreciate them for that.
Right, right. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, and I got to do some fun collaborative stuff with Baron DeRop from Dungeon Masterpiece and Bob, the World Builder, and Grace, the World Destroyer, who both have a podcast. That was a ton of fun.
Now, are they on the same podcast or are they on opposing podcasts?
They appear on each other's podcasts from time to time, and I believe they're related in some capacity.
I love that.
Everybody was awesome. Everybody was very intuitive. We had a panel about what GMs can learn from video games, because Baldur's Gate 3 has been on everybody's brain for the last month.
That is very interesting. That is a topic we should bring up, especially since tabletop role playing games invented computer games. Begat, I'll say. But hey, real quick, I want to shout out. There's some shenanigans going on. Hey, Tempo. We will talk about Swords of the Shadow Planet sometime soon. So don't sweat.
Probably sometime this month, I would think.
Oh, don't say that. I don't know. Yeah,
I just like to make promises on Malcolm's behalf that he has to.
Yeah. No, it will definitely be. I think it's going to be this week. Make sure you ask Malcolm wherever you see him out and about, as it were. But so Alex, you ran some games. Running games at a convention is different, kind of, but there's still the same kind of performative vibe. Like, you got to have some theater, but you definitely have to have your ducks in a row.
You definitely have to have people on task for sure, because you only have that time period, and there's no opportunity to follow up.
Right.
Unless you really want to have an annoying email exchange with a bunch of people you just met for 4 hours.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so my curiosity is around preparing for these things. And, Apple, I'm curious as to kind of anything that you might do to prepare the story, especially given that it can go careening wildly out of control. And I'd love to hear the kind of your both of your thoughts on tools and things that you would use to kind of get ready for the main event.
I think there is definitely overlap in the skill set and overlap in the presentation. I often find before stream and before I do a one shot, I'll sort of explain the high concept of what the adventure is going to be about, so they know where we're going and what we need to get done before the 4 hours are over, to enlist them in helping me push things along. And generally with convention stuff, people know what they're getting into. They've signed up for that 4 hours and they want to have a good time, so they bought in a little bit.
Right.
Same with streamers, because the streamers, hopefully everybody is pushing in the same direction to make your stream successful. But it was fun. It was a good, it's always a great experience. I find preparing just enough of an interesting hook and just enough of an interesting ending is what you need to really improv the rest if you need to. I think if you have a good intro and outro, the rest of it, you can sort of react to what the players are doing and don't be so strung up on the process.
Right. Like, just let the cool kind of take center stage and roll with it.
Yeah.
How about you, Apple? I'm curious as to kind of how did you put your story together and how did you prepare for this? And you've been GMing for some time now. Did you find the transition easy or more difficult or different?
Or relatively easy on it from a storytelling perspective. I think across a lot of TTRPGs, the structure of storytelling is kind of tried and true. Kind of there's a lot of overlap there. Mechanics wise, obviously, it's a lot of figuring things out as we go along. But from a story perspective, it's kind of a similar thing. Like any true GM, you save your prep time until 5 minutes before the game starts. And you go from there. But I guess when I do prep ahead of time, it's more constructing a world and creating essentially a setting or a sandbox. And then at this point, I know my players well enough to kind of construct like the general outlines of here's a place that they would probably go. Here's a couple of places that they might go. Here's a few NPCs that they'd interact with. And then you just kind of let them loose. And
right.
What happens. Yeah.
So what shape does that take in your planning world? Do you have like a room just covered in Post-it notes and twine, or are you more of a notebook and scribbles? Are you drawing pictures? Are you an interpretive dance kind of planner? Like,
I am a 30 different Google Docs and Microsoft Word like docs and a couple of different I use like incarnate map making systems sometimes, and so it's like 30 tabs open over the course of the game versus like the other 30 for like looking up rules, and then it's just like here's the perfect game flow to game master too.
Troy, there are two versions of me. There's the one I aspire to be, and there's the one that I actually am. The one I aspire to be is the GM who has like a whole Google Doc about what the adventure is going to be about. There's my 6 scenes all planned out with handouts and flavor text and all my character sheets. And then there's the me who shows up at the convention who just has the pre-gen characters, the 1-sentence synopsis about what the adventure is going to be about, and a can-do attitude.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that gets you far. I'll also say
I was really annoying. I was really annoying at Pittsburgh this weekend because people were like, "Where are your adventure notes?" And I held up a blank notepad and I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing. This GM screen's in French." And I turned it around because I had the French printing of our Game Master kit with me.
That is so. I don't know what I'm doing. This GM screen's in French.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. No.
About
90% of my notes are what is this character's name that I just made up, and what is their accent that I also just made up, so that when they're not consistent, yes, they are. And if my players are watching, you can't prove anything.
That's right. I love it.
My favorite piece of advice to new GMs is the players don't know the script, and as long as you don't act like you're messing up, they will think it's all planned.
Yep. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And if they have destroyed your plans, but having that extemporaneous sort of can-do attitude, as you said, just sort of go with the flow and just ratchet up the pain a little bit because maybe they're a little stronger than you thought, is super fun. And honestly, I feel like when you can pivot to what the players are doing, I feel like maybe they can acknowledge to a degree that you're doing that it wasn't the plan. But if the plan is to really leverage what they're doing and make that story amplified and fun and really move the plot along, what a rewarding endeavor.
100%. Yeah, players. Yeah. I love when players have a good time, and I think M&M is great for allowing players to just do the cool thing that they've always wanted to do. That a lot of RPGs are like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And my thing is, I love it when players have a horrible time, which is why I'm not a very good GM or host of a program. Go ahead. Go ahead, Apple.
I think what I like about Mutant Mastermind is that it leaves. I think a lot of games leaves it up to the game to tell the players no, and I think Mutant Mastermind leaves it up to the GM to tell the players no. Of like, if there is something that players want to do, it is possible to do it, and it is up to the GM to sort of like know what they want to make a story of, and also up to the players to work with the GM to figure out like what's the best thing. And so I like that the game is limitless, and it leaves it up to the GM to decide what limits or what labyrinth walls they want to put up in the player's way.
Yeah, and
Love
there
it.
is a reward for no. Like a lot of games,
Yeah.
when they tell you no, that's just no. But you can say no, but here's a hero point because
Oh yeah,
this is why
absolutely.
no,
I
or
dig that.
this would work, but this is an extemporaneous circumstance. That's the word I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I like to. I've heard a couple times where Apple, you might not have, and this happens to every GM, but you're like, I'm not sure of the rule, but we're going to go with the rule that is more beneficial to you, and I'm going to research it later.
Yep, that's literally my go-to. So it's just like,
It's
yep,
smart,
rule
super
of cool.
smart.
Yes, you can do it, and I'll look it up later. And if not, then we'll have it for next session. But yeah,
And there'll be a
session
reckoning.
one.
No,
And
I like that a lot.
that's just good advice for GMing any system, really.
It
Is
really
don't get hung
is.
up in the moment, bogging
Yeah.
things down. Just be like, this is how I'm going to adjudicate this now. I'll look it up later.
So
And-
Dominic has a question for Apple, and I will admit to our little tech snafu at the beginning. I'm scrambling to share something that'll towards the end of the show. So forgive me if I seem distant, but Dominic asks, here's a question for Apple. Do you use any of the supplemental rules or systems for your M&M game, like the mass combat or reputation systems?
And
Not
RC adds in, what about rules from third parties like Better Mousetrap or anything that Jacob Blackman does at Rogue Genius Games?
Oh yeah,
I think outside of the Hero Handbook, I have looked at the Game Master's Guide, and I will definitely check out the Reputation system and the Mass Combat system because that might become relevant very soon. My party just broke. Spoiler alert! They broke out a prison full of different superpowered prisoners that were on their way to a not so good place. So mass combat might become very relevant soon as they are fighting against the people that did that. I'm
very
not familiar
cool.
with Better Mousetrap though. There's again very new to the system, so I'm going to be checking literally all of this out. I've got a like sticky note.
Better
I'm just looking
Mousetrap
at-
is Better Mousetrap is great. It's one of the best third-party products out there for M&M. They have a lot. Steven Trustram wrote it, I believe. He has a bunch of fun additional rules or ways to think about GMing M&M that I wish we would incorporate.
Yeah, I'll drop some links. I've got one here. Yeah, Stephen Trustram, Eric Lofgren. And so what they're referring to are third parties under the super powered by M&M can publish their own supplements and their own sort of things. And so that's one of those. And then where would those where would we find those rules, like the rules for mass combat and that? You know, Alex?
Mass Combat is in the Deluxe Game Master's Guide as an optional rule.
Oh, good.
Okay, I think I have the regular one, not the deluxe one.
I know for sure that you've got you've got access to it anyway. So we'll be sure you know where that is. We'll provide a link. But
yeah,
okay,
I'll
awesome.
Where exactly? But there's one more question from Tempo.
Yeah.
How would characters from Fantasy Age or Modern Age stack up against M&M characters? That would be bad for the Age characters.
I agree.
It's two very different. It's two very different mentalities around games. Like I said, M&M is very much you can start off as an awesome character who does a bunch of cool things, whereas in Age you sort of start off small and build power, and that's part of the fantasy behind the Age system is becoming more powerful and being able to take on bigger and bigger challenges. Where superhero games are more, I'm awesome and I'm trying to either defend a status quo that I agree with or attain a new status quo that is different than the oppressive regime that I'm currently underneath. It's two different approaches to game design, and neither of them are invalid. I like Age very much. It's just M&M is it's just different. And Mass Combat is on page 194 of the Deluxe Game Master's Guide.
Hey, nice. And I dropped a link to Better Mousetrap, 3rd edition.
Awesome.
It's the Amazon link.
Pasted
So
already.
nice, excellent. Let me see if I'm missing anything from the chat. And also, apologies, chat. Good to hear from you. Good to see you, and glad that you are hanging out with us. For some reason, the technical beginning to the show, or the mix up, has just rattled me. I'm rattled. But
Aepelgeuse,
go ahead, Alex.
as you were deciding to get into an M&M campaign, what was your how did you come up with characters with your players? What was your like session 0 process like, or what was your how did you deliver the campaign idea to your players?
I think the campaign idea was essentially there are these 3 different factions. They're all trying to save the world. Big air quotes. You can't see it, but there's big air quotes in their own ways. And the party's kind of making themselves into a 4th faction of sorts. That is kind of like, as you were saying, that second option of trying to create a new status quo against the oppressive regime. And so I think that kind of gave the players the go ahead to sort of make like outsider characters, like characters that didn't really quite fit in any of the sort of 3 factions that I had sort of like world built and put in the sort of like session 0 lore channel. And so we just have a lot of very not loner type characters, but characters that are all very unique in their own sense, that are learning to coordinate and cooperate as a team. And so that's been fun.
That's awesome. And did you have them make their characters on their own, or did you
A lot of
say
help. A lot of
yeah.
help. We're all new to the system, so I read through the Deluxe Player's Handbook. I was like, all right, I think I get this, and so it was a lot of just sort of. I think we all like made them together, and if there were questions, I helped as much as I could. And if you watch it and there are problems in the character sheet, no, there isn't until they're fixed.
No, I'm sure you did a great job. I never watch with the intention of correction. I'm very excited to check it out. Especially Chaos Gremlins. Those are my favorite kinds of players.
Yeah, they're
very
great.
much Chaos Gremlins. You're gonna love, if you love Chaos Gremlins, you're gonna love all of my players. They are they're players.
Yeah, well, so I have a question about how do you know the people you're that are on the stream, the cast? Did you know them for a long time beforehand, or?
About 2 years now, honestly. We all kind of met in a Discord server for TTRPGs, and yeah, it's been a really good time of getting to know them. I've run some D&D for them before. A couple of the players have run one shots with me, but it's all kind of been like this this nice little group. But yeah, we've just kind of been getting to know each other, and so after running one campaign with them, I kind of got a feel for their play styles, and so I could shape another campaign for them a little bit easier this time around.
Nice. And then, so as far as the streaming setup, so right now you are it looks like you might be broadcasting on 2 different Twitch channels. One is it Shadow the Wiz?
Yep, Shadow the Wiz is one channel, and then my other 2 players stream our games. There's Shadow the Wiz, and then there's King V, King with a Y, and then V and 2 E's after it, and they're kind of our 2 streamers.
Nice. And then, so are you going to have will you move any of your shows to YouTube for on demand kind of stuff, or have you thought about that far? I mean, I know it can be a lot to think about all the peripheral stuff of just getting it out there on the internet.
Yeah, I know that King V absolutely has all of our sessions uploaded to YouTube. I'm pretty sure they're edited down a bit, so all the 10-ish or so minutes that I might be looking up a rule sometimes when I don't just breeze past it, or when we're trying to do math on dice rolls and add stuff like that. So they're a little bit more streamlined, stuff like that. But yeah, I know King V definitely has them on their YouTube. So you can just look up the same username there. And yeah, it's kind of on demand for checking out what you missed.
One thing I have seen often in online discourse around RPGs, not necessarily just about M&M, is convincing players to go from D&D to something else. Did you have a technique for that, or what was your way of easing your players into this new game system, rather than trying to find some way to squeeze 5e into something that's not meant to be?
Yeah, it was. I like superheroes, and this is a system for superheroes, and you can fly in it. And I think, yeah, I think what a lot of players who were like coming from D&D are kind of like getting used to, I guess, like with Eminem is like kind of what I was saying of like there are less boundaries here. Where what I really enjoyed about Eminem is that it doesn't give you like classes per se; it gives you building blocks. So like if you want to make like a pure pyromancer in D&D, you kind of have to sort of like fiddle around with like wizards and only choose these spells, but also this spell might be good. Whereas in I think Eminem, it's just like, okay, here are all the building blocks you could possibly need to build anything you want ever. And I think the pitch I kind of gave to my players was like, all right, name the wildest, craziest concept you can possibly think of. And then I just gotta give like, oh yeah, like that would be like this power effect with this descriptor and yada yada yada. And that kind of like I was like, all right, the freedom to like make the character of whatever you wanted is kind of like I think what kind of drew them into the system.
Now,
That's
I'm
awesome.
curious. Sorry, Alex, did you?
Awesome was the beginning and
Right
end
on.
of that sentence.
Yeah.
Awesome. So my question for you is, when you're looking at, have there been any particularly challenging bumps in the system that you kind of had to walk people around or help them understand, or are they, was everyone kind of equally sort of learning and embracing this new system? Or I'm just curious, as kind of that onboarding can be daunting, and especially if kind of learning a whole new system. Not a lot of people do that because of the comfort level they have with the old one. But I'm just kind of curious as to sort of how folks' journey has been through all the material, and did they get it right out the gate, or?
I think quite honestly, and that was something I kind of noted when Alex was mentioning that they brought the sort of like pre-made character sheets with them. That was all they really needed. I think character creation was probably the biggest hurdle to
Mhm.
jump with Eminem,
Yeah.
just because it is so different from like something that's just sort of you start at level 1 in D&D, and so you have like maybe 2 things to worry about or 3 spells to pick. Whereas with Eminem, you kind of start off, unless you're starting on a lower power level campaign, it's just sort of you could have a lot, and so the analysis paralysis does kick in.
Oh
But I
yeah,
think
that's a fair point.
yeah, I think once character creation was over, it was very easy for the players to pick up. There's only 1 dice, so if they didn't know,
Mhm.
they rolled a d20 and then looked for the modifier that would be most appropriate, and that has been kind of the bread and butter of the campaign so far. And so it's honestly gone super smoothly. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I always tell people the crunch in Eminem is in character creation, and then once you get to
yeah,
gameplay,
like
it's so quick.
yeah.
Like it's
Once you get like past character creation, it's been honestly a breeze. I feel like they've picked it up pretty good, and I think it's mostly on I guess me to learn most of the rules for like conditions and what all those do and stuff like that. But those are
Mhm.
easily in the sort of GM screen with all like the helpful little hints and stuff, and that's one of the 30 tabs I have open at all times. So
Right. And I got to tell you, I
yeah,
had
it's
to ask, because it everybody seems so effortlessly able to kind of engage in the role play aspect of things, and that it just wouldn't appear that there was any kind of, onboarding paralysis. You know what I mean? Or sort of,
yeah,
yeah, it was really. I mean, it is awesome to see,
yeah,
and encouraging as well, especially just kind of given this new kind of space that we're in, where you're not sure what maybe the people who run the company of the company that makes your game is going to do. I mean, like,
yeah.
it's kind of a wild time, and I don't want to get into that details too much, but outside to say that, is there any aspects of Mutants and Masterminds that you think would did you bring over any, sort of stuff from the old from your old game, from D&D to Mutants and Masterminds? Are there tricks and tips and things that you sort of incorporated into your work on M&M?
Yeah, definitely. Kind of in the same vein, but like opposite of that question, RC Baylor asked, "Do you find
Yeah.
yourself limited going back to other systems that don't have hero points?" And I wanted to answer that because I saw
Yeah.
that and I immediately thought, yes. And I don't know if I can
Mhm.
curse on this stream, but if I could, I would because yes.
You can. No,
first
yeah,
time,
absolutely. We've got a
awesome.
one F word budget, so
Is it yes,
we try
bitch?
to.
What?
Cool. It would be fuck yes.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
there we go. That was the one
Simply
F word, and
because
we're good to
I
go.
put the expletive on the wrong side of yes.
you're fine. It would be, I think the first time my players like saw hero points and like they used it to like re-roll something and they rolled like a 6 or something. And I was like, okay, so that's a +10 because when you use hero points, you can't like virtually roll like above a thing, as opposed to, and I don't want to I don't want to like rag on D&D too much, but
I
like as
say
opposed
bad
to
things
D&D
about
where it's like
inspiration all the time. Inspiration
it's like,
sucks.
okay, I get advantage as opposed like, oh, there's also these 7 other ways I could also get advantage, but I guess this will also do, I guess, where it's like with hero points, you can like edit scenes and like do like power stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to answer your question, fuck yes, it's hard to go back to things without hero points. And in
Right.
terms of things I've ported over to D&D or from D&D to M&M, it's probably closer to, I will probably port hero points if I ever DM D&D again over to D&D, because like that's how I would like to see inspiration done from, I guess, now on.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Absolutely. And I like the sound of that. David
I
Bodie
rag
has a
on
question.
D&D all the time about that because
Yeah.
anytime I spend a resource I have one of and I roll a
Yep.
1 on both dice, I hate that.
Yep.
And I can't
Yeah,
stockpile
do-
inspiration. I can't use it for anything except an extra dice. Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time hero points are the best player currency in all of gaming, is what I tell people flat out.
I have not found something better. And I do also very much like that you get a hero point at the start of every session, so it encourages your players not to hoard it. Yeah, it's just
Alex is the one that taught me
good.
not to hoard hero points because I was just that's just the instinct.
Yeah,
but and also
they reset back to 1, so if you don't use them, then they're gone, and it's just like it's good, it's good.
And I've been telling people in one shots, I've been saying this hero point is part of your power currency. It's like PTO at your job. Please use it.
Wonderful.
Right. You know, and it seems Apple that you're in hearing sort of when members of the cast are like, well, can I edit the scene to do, I was just like, wow, that like effortlessly embracing the hero point. Whereas I was like, I can edit the scene, like, and actually change this to be, better, and feeling like that could ruin the story, but it really doesn't.
Yeah. And in the same vein, I can also give hero points to edit the scene against their favors if I feel like, they're making things a little bit too easy. And like the clip that's been like uploaded to our TikTok was like, okay, cool. Like your big fireball blast, player X is selective. I'm gonna give you a hero point, and this lovely red barrel here in the background, I'm gonna say that that's not selective, and I'm gonna need players Y and Z to roll a dodge check. And it was just like a nice little
Brilliant
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Real quick, I want to say hi. Kathy Evans says hello. And oh yes, I see that Rebel Moose has shared. Hey, squat your language. We tipped Apple off to the gravy squatch, and whatever was going on before we jumped in, I will not repeat that. But let's see. Calvin says I introduced M&M style hero points into a Pathfinder 2e campaign this weekend. Way better for making rerolls actually useful.
Heck yes, Calvin. We love
Hey,
Calvin.
there's King V.
Calvin plays Bowman in my Freedom League Dark stream.
That is right.
Gab does ask, Aepelgeuse,
Yeah.
have you played any of the Astonishing Adventures yet? Have you run any of the published adventures we put out?
I have not yet. I would love to, though.
Well, speaking of Astonishing Adventures, I have some news. We have the Mutants Masterminds Astonishing Adventures Starcrossed is now up on Roll20. It is jam-packed with all the stuff. We've got new NPC and villain tokens. We've got new maps with dynamic lighting. We've got all of the opponents are ready to go using the official M&M sheet. So all the math is in there. It's looking gorgeous. And it's only $5.99. And that went live today. I was waiting for Gab to say the magic words, Astonishing Adventures. There we go.
Yeah, I played a game with the author of Starcross this weekend, the lovely John Pelojic.
I
He played
believe John's in
Catwoman in
chat
my
right
Suicide
now.
Squad game.
Wow.
You played a Suicide Squad. Okay, I almost ran a Suicide Squad game, like a Suicide Squad-esque game with these players. It was this close, but
I highly recommend it, at least as a one shot. The one I did this weekend, it was the Adam West Batman villains were the members of the Suicide Squad, and they were
oh
protecting the
my
Beatles during
god,
their first tour of the Soviet Union.
that is
Nice.
amazing.
It is a hoot and a half of an adventure.
That's great. So was everyone pretty campy?
Oh yeah, everybody was. The guy who played Egghead was
Yep.
amazing. He was doing the best Vincent Price
Oh my
impersonation.
god,
I was here
love
for it.
that.
That is brilliant. So yeah, talk to me about so Alex, do you tend to when I see you definitely are I will say a punishing GM. You are you offer challenge with abundance to the people who are playing in your game. But you also embrace camp and fun and silliness. And Apple,
Punishing is a strong word. I'll kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. It's me and King George.
We're gonna get along. We're gonna get along. I
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah, I mean, so talk to me about how you find that balance between that, because there are definitely moments of seriousness and grave danger, and then also just silly fun. You know,
I think the level of trauma I will offer you is on a bell curve, and the more games we have to play with your character, the more trauma you will experience. Like
That
I
is fair.
tend to avoid that in one shots, especially because I like to have games that are like, if I saw this on a schedule, I know I have to play this game. Like
yeah,
Mhm.
coming up in November, I'm running a game where the Legends of Tomorrow have to find Elvis at an Elvis impersonator convention in the 80s, as he's been time displaced.
I love that. That's
And
amazing.
he winds up in the Rock of Eternity and gets the powers of Shazam because Captain Marvel Jr. is the inspiration for all of Elvis's stage persona.
wow,
That is awesome. Are you?
yeah.
All right. I don't know if we're allowed to ask it. Are you more of a DC guy or a Marvel guy? Because I'm seeing a lot of DC.
My first love will always be DC Comics. I wish they would let me back.
Preach.
Like,
Listen, they got me young with like Teen Titans Go and like Static Shock, or not Teen Titans, but Teen Titans, Static Shock, like Justice League, and
yeah,
now
I
things are a little
liked
bit
the
different.
Arrowverse a lot in the beginning and in the middle, but ever since the CW's been shutting things down, they've sort of lost their minds.
Yeah,
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
real
But
quick, Alex.
Legends of Tomorrow is my favorite superhero property.
That is a tabletop RPG campaign, and you can't convince me otherwise.
100%.
Yeah.
Hey,
I love
Alex,
Marvel
real
too.
quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Sorry, I just want to say, Claude says Alex acting like his one shots are actually only one session.
Look, I cannot be helped from wanting to spend more time with you wonderful people.
See how nice that sounds. Yeah.
That is what I've told my players when they've asked me to like run one shots. I was like, I don't run one shots. I plan one shots. I run like 3 shots. Okay,
Yeah.
That's right.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, but I love Marvel too. Spider-Man's one of my favorite superheroes of all time. The Guardians of the Galaxy, especially James Gunn's iteration of them, is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
I've run several Guardians games because they too are a D&D game waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I have a Guardians of the Galaxy game called The Hangover, where they wake up in jail after being accused of murdering a Kree accuser, and they have to prove their innocence.
That is amazing. I love that.
I love that.
Yes, I do accomplish my one-shot goal at conventions because I don't want to deal with emailing people after the fact to play the second half of a game.
You do?
I correctly implement one-shots at conventions.
I love it. So I'm curious, when you're looking at telling a story, or the kinds of storytelling that you want to do, where do you dip into? Like, are you, this is for Apple, and Alex, you of course, but I'm curious, like, where are you drawing your storyline inspiration, and what's setting you on the path?
I have one more thing to say about the Arrowverse.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, please.
I am annoyed that we are wasting the prime years of Matt Ryan's life. Give me more Matt Ryan Constantine forever in every
I
game.
met him at a convention, and it's like the highlight of my existence, honestly.
What was he like?
I yelled at him at a convention from across the street.
He is almost exactly like Constantine, if not more friendly than I'll say comic book Constantine, and like NBC show Constantine. So he's personable, but still with that like sly, like very quick humor. It's he's great. He's awesome.
Yeah, the rumor that they're
Love it.
bringing Keanu Reeves back, I'm like, stop it.
I'm come on. Yeah.
We have
I
a
mean,
perfectly good
seriously.
Matt Ryan right here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I love Keanu. I love Keanu as a person, as a performer, and all that stuff. But come on, like he's kind of aged out of that to a whole new opportunity for him. But yeah. So back to the story stuff. Where are you drawing inspiration? Where are you? What resources are you using to kind of help do the set dressing and sort of add depth to your storytelling?
In terms of, I think, set dressing, a lot of inspiration from, I guess, not deconstructed, but I guess like more closely examined superhero universes. So a little bit of inspiration from The Boys and a little bit of inspiration from Invincible. A lot of inspiration, I would say, mainly from like the Milestone universe, so like Static Shock and stuff like that. All my players are black, so we were like really into Static Shock and that kind of stuff. And I think the way I'd like kind of describe the campaign is that I have a 4-color party in a grayscale world, essentially. And so like they want to do like good things. They are doing their best, but the world itself is like they're not fighting for the status quo, sort of like traditional superheroes. They're fighting to change the status quo, similar to, I guess I'd say, more X-Men than Avengers. You would say is
Yeah.
kind of the inspiration. So definitely a lot of inspiration from the X-Men. That too, and I have been scouring those comics for inspiration for a little bit now, but a lot of inspiration from like Milestone, Static Shock, X-Men, and then I guess the sort of like superhero world, but like what if a little bit like more realistic and superheroes are more like celebrities from like The Boys. A little bit less gore than The Boys, honestly.
Right.
Just
You mean the humans aren't water balloons in your universe?
humans are not
Right. Yeah.
balloons in universe. There are no water balloons. Yeah. And then just like a lot of inspiration for like the Invincible of like this is a very like well established, very full superhero universe, and what's it like for someone new coming into this very like well established superhero universe. So a lot of that.
Are there heroes on both sides of the power equation? Like, are there heroes that are attempting to maintain the suppressive regime? Or not heroes, but enhanced individuals trying to do
Yeah.
so?
So yeah, absolutely. I think there's heroes on every side, and that is, I guess, like kind of the main conflict. So like I guess like general synopsis of the campaign is that there are these sort of 3 main factions that are each trying to save the world in their own way. The first one is the U.S. government, and let's just say that they are the X-Men U.S. government in that sense, and leave it there. And that's how they're kind of going about saving the world. They have enhanced humans on their side. And then there's the Utopia troop, which is kind of your X-Men and your your Avengers and your Justice League. And we have Horizon Man leading sort of like his group trying to save the world, I guess, in the traditional sense. I won't give too much spoilers because my players haven't met him yet, and I don't want to spoil the surprises of what his whole deal is.
Oh yeah, Homelander's the only good one.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Not quite Homelander, but very sort of like the rumors and like the fear surrounding Homelander of like he could pop you and it would be like a casual thing.
Right.
Yeah. And then there is Serpent, which is the specialized enforcement, response, and protection from extranormal national threats, and they're kind of the private security section versus the like the very very like LexCorp, very sort of like Stark Industries, and these are it's kind of like the 3-way power struggle of these like 3 various like titans across America, each trying to shape the world in their own image. And our lovely party is caught in the middle of it, figuring out who are their friends, who are their enemies, who are their allies against more powerful enemies. And yeah, they have only met one so far. We're only about 4 episodes in, but they have met Serpent. They were less than pleased, we'll say, with Serpent's approach to things. So yeah.
As someone who loves acronyms and does them for a living, that is a great acronym.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many comments in the
chat. I have defended my
chat.
love of acronyms from my players for years. So I'm very pleased to meet another fellow lover of acronyms.
100%. The M&M mix-up I did had catfish. It was the Central Atlantean treatment facility for ionizing surface hazards.
We love it. We absolutely love it.
I love it. All right. Well, so listen, we are in the waning moments of the program. I can't believe that this has gone by so fast, but I say that every show and I mean it.
Yep. Time flies, man.
This has been a phenomenal conversation, but Apple, I have a more important question, which is, would you come back in a future program just to kind of hang out and like bring the cast maybe?
Absolutely, I would love to. Times are a little bit difficult just because 5 EST
Sure.
is when a lot of the cast is at work and stuff like that. But I would
Right.
absolutely love to bring them here. If they tell you that I'm a terrible sadistic GM, they're lying. But yeah, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to bring them here.
Awesome. I would love to. Yeah, and I think that
Tell them I'll give them a doctor's note. I'll get them out of work.
That's right. We'll give them a
Wonderful.
hero
Awesome.
point. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
All right, fantastic. Alex, what is going on in your world? Do you got stuff cooking? Anything you want to share or recount?
Oh, I got everything cooking. This week, we have the mid-season finale of our Freedom League Dark and the Multiverse of the Master Mage stream. Our heroes have gone to the bottled city of Kandor looking for Adrian Eldridge and his alliance with the Emerald Empress, trying to capture Brainiac 5 and Supergirl. So it's going to be a wild time that ends unexpectedly, so you won't want to miss that. Also, we're still hard at work on Valiant, the Valiant Adventures role-playing game. Steve and I are close to finished on the first book, and we are about halfway through the second book. So Valiant is on track to be on time. Knock on wood. And yeah, keep playing M&M, keep spreading the good word. Yeah, if you take some time to play a game for yourself this week, please let us know. We love to hear about your games, about your characters, and all the fun stuff. And tomorrow I will be back with the joy of game mastering to continue our world building symposium, but it will be at a different time. I'll be on at 2 p.m. EST instead of 7 p.m. 8 p.m. EST.
That sounds like an easier manage.
I'm in rehearsals right now for Hunchback of Notre Dame, and
that's right.
They're in the middle of the night. So
yeah, Alex is in the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now you are the Hunchback, not the Hunchback of Notre, but the hunched back. Like
no, I am
right?
I'm playing Frollo, the Archdeacon of Notre Dame.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so, it's intense.
It's
a fellow theater kid, a fellow drama queen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I
10 out of 10. We love it.
I got to sing Hellfire with the choir last week, and that was amazing.
Oh my gosh,
that was my jam. I was so here for it.
So, friends, you know that we come to you every single Monday. Well, most Mondays, I would say 99.9% of the Mondays on the calendar, we're here. But we've also got Thursdays. That's every Thursday. You know, they happen at the same time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, right in this very same spot. We just swap out the decorations and the skin suits and just start talking about games powered by the Adventure Game Engine, which there are a lot. We've got some great stuff coming up for this Thursday, so you're going to want to tune in. In addition, if you've got an idea, you need some advice. Maybe you're unlucky in love. Maybe you've got a mysterious rash. Send your pictures of your rashes to Alex Thomas no, I'm kidding. Really, honestly, if you've got, we love to arbitrate. We love to have conversations about what's going on in your world. Send a note to let's play at greenronin.com. And if you are someone who is you are just smitten with the character that you've created, you've gone to great lengths, you've got a backstory, you want to talk about it, we do a program that's called The Drafting Table. And we sit down and we just talk about your hero. It is some of the most enjoyable conversations that I've had in this business. It is really an interesting opportunity to sit down and talk, somebody who is very passionate about what they built. And if that's you and you'd like to hang out with me and we can get into it, send a note to let's play at greenronin.com and we'll talk about it. Oh, nice. Okay. I've just gotten word from RC that the new episode of, what is it? The Rescue Rangers?
Redacted Rangers.
The Redacted Rangers, of which both Alex and I play a role. Alex, you're a Teddy Roosevelt. What are you?
I am Beowulf Odin's son.
That's
son
right.
of Thor. Used to ride in a gang.
And I'm
now I'm gonna kill my brother Loki.
Love it.
You're
that
rascal.
rascal.
Or something.
That rascal. I am Pentar, alien, who is on the planet begrudgingly and is kind of cranky about humans. So yeah, it should be out. Let's see, late tonight or tomorrow, says RC. So keep your eyes open for that. Before we call it a day, Aepelgeuse, where can they find you? Where should they be watching? We've shared links to the to Twitch and to YouTube and other places that they might want to check up on you, follow you on Twitter or whatever it's called now. Where can we find you?
My social media presence isn't as big as Shadows or King V's. That's kind of why they're the streamers, and I'm more of the storyteller. But I am Aepelgeuse, spelled exactly like you see on your screen. It's Aepelgeuse spelled like Beetlejuice. You can find me on TikTok a little bit. I do a couple of just superhero takes, which is why Alex and I found it so easy to sort of go off on different rants. I do a few 3D animations, that kind of stuff. I talk about D&D sometimes. I talk about Mutants Masterminds sometimes, but yeah. And you can also check out Shadow the Wiz as well as King V on the links that were provided in stream. But
That's right.
yeah.
And if you're listening on demand, you'll find all the links, and we'll update it to make sure that you'll be able to find Apple on TikTok. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This has been a blast.
Importantly,
So I'm also
what
in
time
the
and day is Confirmed Chaos on, so we can watch it live?
Yeah.
we are every other Wednesday. I believe we're filming this Wednesday, actually, on the 4th. We are at 8:30 EST, or would that be 5:30 PST? And yeah, our heroes just got their our lovely little freed prison transport ship, so they might actually be a contender for these 3 factions.
I love it. Well, we'll tune in live for sure, and we'll talk about having you back on, and we want to meet the cast and just get to know all about them and their experience in Mutants Masterminds. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out today.
Troy,
I'm also on the
yes?
The Mutants Mastermind Discord as well, the Freedomverse Discord. They were super duper helpful, Apuk and all them, on helping me learn the system. That was kind of like where I went to first, and they have this like Hero High channel, and yeah, that's pretty great.
Apuk is a dear friend and a Ronin to his core. Alex, you were going to say something?
I was going to say Gerald has a cool idea for what about GMs that are really into the campaign they set up? We should have a draft table for GMs too.
Hey, you know what? If that's you, friends, you want to get into it, let's get into it. I would love that. And also gives me an opportunity to learn. I don't often have a lot of time to say, I'm going to be a GM but I want to. And so absolutely. Good idea. So feel free to send a note in and we'll get into it. It's a good program and it's all about you. So
absolutely. If you can teach players to be GMs, you can save your local forever GM.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Give the GM an opportunity to play. Okay, friends, that is it for us today. Thank you all for hanging out and listening. We appreciate you a great deal. Apple, what a delight. Such a pleasure to meet you. Looking forward to our future conversations.
Yep.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a good week.